There was nothing obvious outside of the house as we walked up. Everything seemed to be normal. Knocked on the doors, nobody answered. Walked around the house trying to look in the windows. I saw a deceased female with a significant amount of blood, and she was obviously dead and appeared to have had some sort of trauma. And when we made entry into the house, we discovered the deceased male as well. One of the first things we noticed was there was no forced entry. No doors were kicked in, no windows were pried open. When we actually did make entry into the house, we noticed that it wasn't ransacked, it wasn't, furniture wasn't turned over, so it didn't look like there was a large struggle either.
It's been a small group of people. They all knew each other. Two of the guys were friends until one of them looked at his supposed friend and he killed him. This was never a whodunit. It was always a whydunit.
To answer that question, you have to go to the beginning.
Josh Druker's dad, Reverend Druker, had a small country church.
It basically didn't matter what you had been through or what you were going through. You were welcome there. And I really loved the church.
I was preaching, and we were surrounded by loving family, but that was a long time ago, before someone new entered our lives.
Andrew Robertson, I knew he worked a lot in the clubs. A lot of times he's got work as a bouncer.
Besides being a bouncer, he was a carpenter, so he subcontracted. He was originally from Canada, and he was adopted by his parents. None of his family lived in Atlanta, and he was a very independent person.
I think Andrew struggled with the idea of, why did my birth parents abandon me?
On the outside, I grew up in privilege. My adopted parents took good care of us. On the inside, I was a born rebel, and anything I did to extremes.
Andrew inherited his house from somebody in his family. I didn't know much about Andrew's background, except that I don't think he had a lot of family.
Well, the connection originally was Amanda, Joshua's younger sister. They met at a club called Backstreets.
The first time I saw Amanda was November of 2002. I was working at Backstreets and she came in with her friend, Crystal. Man, I couldn't take my eyes off her.
He was looking at her, and she was looking at him, and it was just like magnets.
My sister and I did everything together. So it was only a matter of time until I ran into this new guy she was dating. I wasn't sure about Andrew at first. I figured she just hung around him to get in the club for free, you know?
Andrew and Josh were friends. They did not fight, and we hung out with them all the time. Amanda and Josh's parents did not like Amanda and Andrew being together. And one of their biggest problems with Andrew was that he was almost twice Amanda's age.
He was 40, and Amanda had just turned 22.
Andrew had a significant gun collection. He had quite an extensive collection of rifles, assault rifles, and that was kind of what stood out to me.
I know on the outside, I seemed rougher than Josh, but I recognized something in him that I had seen in myself when I was a kid. Something simmering, about to explode.
Josh shared that he had been to prison and that he had done drugs and that he had been called by God to preach and that he changed his life.
Amanda had a 5-month-old little boy, and he died of SIDS.
Amanda's baby died suddenly. It was a total shock to everybody. You could see a deep sadness in her eyes, and that, she was definitely not the same person that she was before.
One night, I'd called Amanda, and she just sounded so messed up. And she said, I took one of Andrew's Oxycontins. And I was like, you need to be careful, or you're gonna end up killing yourself.
It was a Friday, 1 week after Valentine's Day. We had some friends over, but they were heading home. Amanda and I got into a fight about something. It didn't matter what. I decided to sleep it off.
Andrew's version of the story is that Amanda fell or made some noise and that he was in bed, and it woke him up. So he got out of bed to go see what the noise was and found her unconscious.
The doctors pronounced her dead 4 times.
People that were close to Amanda at the time, they laid some of the blame, I think, at Andrew's feet because she was with him when she overdosed.
Josh had a way with words, and he convinced the others that Amanda's OD had been an accident.
It wasn't Andrew's fault. It wasn't Josh's fault. Nobody did this to her. She didn't do it to herself. It was an accident. Josh and Andrew went to a club together and they met some girls. One of them was Laura Nikolova. She's from Bulgaria. They were instantly drawn to each other, kind of like with Amanda.
Josh started spending more time with Laura.
Josh had been going and seeing Laura behind Andrew's back. I think Andrew wanted to handle the situation by just ignoring Josh and letting him blow over.
I would always give Josh the shirt off my back, but those days were coming to an end.
Andrew said, he's up to something. I don't know what it is, but you're not gonna have to worry about it much longer. On April 5th, I went up to see Andrew.
Crystal had been at Andrew's house a little bit earlier that night.
And we go to leave. I hugged Andrew bye. And like right now, it's like all slow motion. It's like, even that night, it was like slow motion for some reason. I just felt like something was so not right.
Josh picked me up from my mother's house, and we drove over to Andrew's house. And Josh just said that we were stopping by. We pulled up to the end of the driveway, and there was a gate, and Andrew was outside. And he was actually closing the gate, and he saw us pull up and open the gate and told us to come in. We went in the kitchen, and Laura and I sat at the table. I think that she was smoking a cigarette. Laura was sitting facing the rest of the kitchen, and I was sitting with my back to the kitchen. I heard a drawer open, and I heard a gunshot. And I pushed my chair back and turned around in time to see Andrew's knees buckle and Andrew fall to the floor.
He was gone. He didn't move. He hit the floor and didn't move again.
The fact that Josh had killed him took a while to register, but I knew instantly that Andrew had died. And I started screaming, "Josh, no, Josh, no." And Laura got up and was yelling, "You killed him, you killed him," over and over. And Josh and Laura got in a struggle, and I remember her flinching and Josh shooting her. She was still alive. She was up on all fours, and she was spitting out blood. When Josh shot Andrew, I didn't think that he was gonna shoot Laura. But once he shot Laura, I remember thinking that I had to get out of the room. He grabbed me by my shirt and turned me around, and he said, "Don't freak out, don't freak out," over and over.
He eventually returned back to the kitchen, and another gunshot was heard by Miss McCraver. And the autopsy showed that Laura Nikolova was shot twice in the head.
Josh had told me that if you called the police, whoever was looking for you would get you before the police got to you. And at the time, in living the lifestyle that I lived, I believed that that was true.
He went home and essentially told his dad what he had done. He told his dad, "I shot Andrew. I shot him in the head."
My daddy was the one who called the cops.
That's the first one my dad. He helped my sister. And my sister. I've been wanting to get it back in. Look back here over there. Couldn't take it anymore.
What all did you take from the house, Josh?
A wallet. Those are cell phones. I grabbed some jewelry.
Where was that?
In the drawers.
In the bedroom? Took any money?
Well, yeah, in the wallet.
I think he, at the end of the day, looked at Andrew as somebody with money and resources that he didn't have.
Joshua Druker was tried for the murders of Andrew Robertson and Laura Nikolova. He was found guilty, and the jury sentenced him to die.